evening from Wales, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight news, and reviews on a daily basis. We are just over 24 hours away from the Royal Rumble pay-per-view now. I, for one, am absolutely hyped. It is probably my favourite pay-per-view of the year, and this year, it just seems even more stacked compared to most years. There are so many huge names in the Royal Rumble match, and today, well, we're going to be predicting it all. I'm joined by Jordy in the bank and Soul today. Jordy, I'm going to kick things off, sending it straight to you and asking you, what's one surprise which you think we will see in either the men's or women's Royal Rumble?
Ooh, pressure, big man.
Ooh, yeah, big pressure. Do I go left field or do I go more safe? I'm going to go...
Both.
Right, all right. Joe Hendry's a safe pick. I'll say AJ Lee is the more left field because people think it's going to happen and I want it to, but like that's the first time I've actually said it out loud.
I so badly want it to happen, but at the same time, I love her so much. I don't want to get my hopes up and my gut saying no. But I agree on the Joe Hendry one. I previously have flip-flopped on this, but I found out that the Learning Tree Chris Jericho, his cruise actually is on land more than it's on water, and it's just picking up wrestlers non-stop, and he doesn't get on the cruise until the day after the Rumble. So I do agree, Joe Hendry probably will be there. J Money says he's so excited. But Soul, what about you? What is one prediction one surprise you expect?
One prize I expect, right? Let's see. Expecting, that's the big thing, right? Who can he? That's the big question, right? So for the men's, I expect obviously Joe Hendry, because obviously he's been teased on with NXT. Yeah, the relationship with TNA and WWE now. I just think that's more likely. But the women's, obviously we'll get into the Rumble match when we talk about it because I have some gripes with it. But for me, you know what? I'm gonna go with a legend. I'm gonna go with Nikki Bella.
Wow, a big call. We saw her on the Raw on Netflix debut in the crowd, but can she be the other side of the barricade this time? We will have to wait and see. Sean Ellis is saying, please WWE, don't have any WWE legend Hall of Famers in the women's or men's Royal Rumble. Wow, you don't want any legends. I think a lot of people would disagree on that one. Number one Superfly says that he wants to see Joe Hendry, Moose, and Obafemi. That would be delightful. Happy Predictions Day. Happy Predictions Day to you as well, numero one. For the women's, numero one predicts AJ Lee, Jordan Grace, and Victoria as well.
Vanessa Hudgens. Vanessa Hudgens. Get her in the Rumble.
Throwing one out there. WrestleMania.
Yeah. Get Vanessa Hudgens in the Rumble and get Ashley Tisdale in and let them sort it out in the ring. Gabriella and Sharpay.
J Money 17 says Slamovich for the women's. I spoke about that today as well. I completely could see that happening. But let's now talk about the women's Royal Rumble match. Because let's face it, this year there are two clear frontrunners. And those frontrunners are one name which has been confirmed in Charlotte Flair and one name which hasn't been confirmed in Becky Lynch. And I agreed on that. I said I think there's, what was it I gave? 30, so I gave an 80% chance. Sorry, a 70% chance that one of the two were going to win the Royal Rumble. But Jordy, I'm passing it to you first. What is your prediction for the women's Royal Rumble?
It's quite hard to predict, which is a good thing. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I complain more than anyone when it's predictable. So that's a great thing. I don't think the build for the women's has been on the same caliber as the men's. However, I'm going to say Charlotte. And the reason I'm going to do that is because this is a kind of win-win situation for me. I wouldn't necessarily want Charlotte to win it. However, if I say it and she does, then at least I got my prediction right. And if she does, and if she doesn't, then I'm happy anyway. So I think it could happen. And like I said in the chat today, if Charlotte enters at number 30 and wins the Rumble, I might headbutt a wall, because that is just it. it's just going to be a bit deflating. And I said the same when Cody did it as well. Like, it's nothing necessarily against Charlotte, this. It's just the thought of someone coming back from injury at number 30 and winning. Not a massive fan of that, because then you've got almost no pre-story to build aside from, I thought it was a career-threatening injury. I thought I wasn't going to be back and stuff. You know what I mean? But I am going to go Charlotte as my prediction.
I think that's a great pick. In fact, it's a pick which I agree with. I've gone Charlotte as well. It makes a lot of sense. And the reason I give Charlotte the edge over Becky is there's still the element of unpredictability with Becky. We don't know she's going to be in it. And if Becky isn't in it, I do think it's going to be Charlotte. But what about you, Sol? Because I know you have some gripes with this Women's Rumble anyway.
Oh, Santina Morella's going to win it from number 30, obviously. 100%.
Oh, gosh.
No, I'm taking the mick. Right. My prediction is Charlotte Flair as well. I think Charlotte Flair is going to win it. And genuinely, she could go for Rhea Ripley. They had the chemistry at 39. They could be like, now we get our main event. She could go for Tiffany Stratton, which is a new matchup. And Tiffany kind of is like the new model of Charlotte Flair in that rich girl gimmick. So that could be interesting. Well, but let's look at the Women's Royal Rumble in itself, right? When I look at the men's, I have like multiple names that I can think of as winning it and connective stories within it. When I look at the women's, I don't have that. It's the same gripes I had with War Games and for the women's side. For what I think WWE do is like they have an exceptional women's division, 100%. There are no gripes, no disagreement. You can't ignore it. They have some of the best women's wrestlers in the world right now, and they have truly the best women's division in the world right now. But throughout 2024, it was just centralized on Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. And even with SmackDown side, it felt like it was just centralized around Nia Jackson, Meechin, and even with Tiffany Stratton in the wing. They haven't built anyone on the main roster that there is that connective tissue. There's no in the wing thing like CM Punk with his offer from Heyman. There's nothing like Cena with his retirement and the last one. There's nothing with Roman Reigns trying to reclaim the championship he lost to Cody Rhodes. There's not even anything on like the caliber of Kevin Owens, having his little winged eagle replica that was taken off the merch stand, going after Cody and his belt. There's nothing of that substance, I feel, on the women's side. And that's a shame because, again, I feel like this Women's Royal Rumble will be the exact same as the last two. The Women's Royal Rumble will be the best wrestling match, and the men's will be the best one for a story-wise point of view. I think that's what we're going to head for again over this year's Royal Rumble. They put all their best women in NXT when they really, honestly, don't need to. Have Julia and Stephanie be in the main roster, and then you get that connective story. You could have those great caliber of women's wrestlers on the main roster, so we don't get another year of Rhea Ripley just having her importance on the main roster. And I get she has that importance because she's a merch seller. She's a draw. She's the star of women's wrestling at the moment. And I get that. But again, I feel like this is an issue with WWE is that they have so many long-term things. I like a little bit of the short-termness, of the quickness, of the firing of sort of stuff. And I think that's great as well. I would also hate for this if that the brand new women's United States champion and the IC champion enter this Royal Rumble and they just get flinged out after doing a spot or two. That would be a shame.
That would be bad.
I would like them to at least get to the final 10. If they get in there to at least the final 10, I think that shows like they're still champions, but they're not on the level of somebody as determined to get the main women's championship. And that's something you could do there as well. But nonetheless, Charlotte Flair is my official pick, and I'm going to go as well. I think, in my personal mind, I think she'll go after Tiffany Stratton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agreed on that one, Sol. Yeah. And honestly, you made a lot of great points. I do agree with a lot of what you said. The only thing I will say, Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, I do think it's 100% the right move to put them in NXT first, purely so they understand like the things which they don't know about, like camera angles and stuff like that, which is super important in WWE. And neither of them were in AEW for long enough. Well, Julia was never in AEW, but Stephanie only had a couple of a match or two there, so she wasn't really learning about any of that. And it's a really difficult thing to learn, and you have to change up your style drastically as well for it. Whereas Penta, he'd been in front of cameras, he'd done, a lot of stuff in Lucha Underground too, where that was a big thing, and they did reshoots at times for certain things there as well. But I do agree with you, Salt. The men's definitely has a better build and definitely has more storyline surrounding it. There's no doubt about that.
I think it's because, and again, I'll say it on air because I said it in the chat, I think it's a snowball effect on the rewards and what the men's rumble means. The men's rumble is 100% guaranteed a main event at WrestleMania. We've seen it. And not only that, like, you look at Cody last year. I mean, maybe it's not the great example because he was such a main storyline, but always going back, if you win the men's rumble for the next 3 months, you're going to be a main focal point on TV. You're going to be on all the Mania posters. You're going to main event Mania. To see what happened with Bayley last year to win the women's rumble, kind of get left off the posters, kind of be an afterthought because of the whole Seth, Cody, Rock and Roman thing, then why should, as a viewer, what has WWE done to make me care as much as the men's? Because what you get for winning it isn't as good or guaranteed. So, like, no, even if they were going in with incredible storylines, like the men's have got, like you said, interweaving things. You've got Seth and Punk, you've got Drew and Punk, you've got Roman and Punk, you've got Seth and Roman, like you've got Cena's last one. Sammy's in there. We don't know what's going on with him necessarily at the minute. He's kicking everyone in the face by accident. There's a lot of things going on. The women's, I'm excited because it's a Rumble match, but even the winner, I'm like, you might end up mid card on night one. Like, so it's just, I genuinely do believe it's a snowball effect of all these things, and the only way to fix that is to guarantee that it's like you're gonna main event night one at least, because then from a booking perspective you'll look at it and be like, look, we need to give as much time to this because it needs to feel as big a deal as the main event of night two.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think there's only way to fix that, it is to come down from the top, and it wouldn't be an overnight fix. It would be something where they would have to announce 2 months in advance that you are guaranteed that, or make it a story. Make the winner of the women's rumble go mad on a microphone and demand that main event of night one, and then from that point on make it always be the case.
Well, they've done it before. They did it the first year, or was it not the second year of the Women's Royal Rumble? Of course, at WrestleMania 35, they had the main event. And, you know, it has happened before, and it should happen every year. It hasn't happened the last couple of years. You are correct. Jordan Kirby says that if Charlotte wins, he is going to go insane. A lot of people will. Rosario says Bayley lost her shine a while ago. And completely agrees with you, Sol, that WWE lacks a lot of short-term storylines. They definitely have been more long-term focused the last couple of years. Personally, I don't mind that, if I'm being completely honest, but I do agree. I think long-term is more important than short-term, but once you have long-term figured out, then you need to do enough short-term to make the product, interesting at all times.
For my point of view, is I do agree long-term story is important. It's good to have long overarching arcs of going on a continuation of stories, but when you've had something for so long, and say like you miss TV or something like that because you're busy with work, you can't watch it, and then you feel left out in a wee bit. But when you have so much of a long-term thing, you kind of get like bored of all that, and you kind of want that little short burst of thing. That's why sometimes limited series of TV shows do so as well as a long-term series. That's 8 or 9 seasons, because we as people in this modern age, our attention spans are in the gutter, and we sometimes just like that little quick bite of thing. That's why Vine was so popular. Come on, 6 seconds of entertainment, people love that. Speed
as well, WWE Speed.
That's true.
That doesn't exist. I heard that was cancelled in 2002. It no longer exists. It's gone.
Still going strong. Jordan Kirby with a great comment we'll quickly touch on. What are your Rumble plans for tomorrow with snacks and stuff? I mean, what's everybody? Do you guys have snacks planned?
Yeah, always the same with me. Whenever wrestling's on, nothing special for the Rumble. I'll just make like a load of wings, a load of nachos, just a load of snacky food. You know what I mean. And just go at it throughout the Rumble.
Mr. Kirby, you have asked the right questions, my friend. I like this sort of mentality. It's a good one.
Yeah.
I have planned 2 steaks, peppercorn sauce, chips, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, 2 liters of Coke, and as well some Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
What flavor?
Great shout.
Cookie dough.
Nice.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Cookie
good
dough is
work.
the right shout. Not the only good shout, but the best shout for sure when it comes to Ben & Jerry's. I mean, that is a whole meal, personally. I'm not entirely sure, but my mate is coming round.
Rumble's on at 11 p.m. I might as well have my dinner with it.
That's late. Fair enough. Personally, I'm a 5 p.m. dinner guy usually. But yeah, I mean, this is really fascinating though, right? My mates who I got into wrestling with haven't watched it in years, right? And they are watching this year's Royal Rumble because that's how excited they are for it, because of all the hype around it with Netflix right now and all of that. It is so fantastic to hear.
Well, I was about to say, what's pulled them in out of interest? Do you know? Like, is it the Netflix hype? Is it the fact that it's seen as last one? Like, what?
Netflix.
Full on Netflix. There we go.
They didn't know it was seen as last one until I said. Which is
well, then they shouldn't watch it. Have some respect. Have some respect.
All right, Mr. Gatekeeper in the bank.
No, I'm joking. They can watch it. I encourage more fans, the better. More eyes, the better.
Exactly.
And that's great to hear. That really is great to hear.
It absolutely is. Now let's move on to talking about tag team wrestling, shall we? Because, shocker, shocker, the WWE Tag Team Championships will be on the line on APLE. I can't remember the last time we saw this, but it was probably WrestleMania. Wow, absolutely ages ago. But Kobe Galanzowski better be getting his stars ready, because DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls match with this, fairly good story they have going as well. I do predict a banger of a bout. I'm hyped for it, but I do think DIY will retain. Also, J-Money17 saying his plan is to get dinner with his fiance and then grab some ice cream after. Very nice indeed.
Nice.
Jordy, I'll chuck this one to you first. Who do you think will walk out tag team champions?
I think that it's going to be a DIY retain, and I kind of hope they hold it till Mania, just because I do like DIY. I like the heel turn. I think they're great wrestlers, and I think they didn't get a fair run last time. To be honest, I think it was, now in hindsight, quite nice looking back that they got that moment as faces to win the tag belts and kind of like celebrate it with families and stuff like that in a babyface way. I know they lost it pretty fast, but now since the heel turn, I have really enjoyed it. I will go DIY, but I just want to say one thing, and it's kind of a segue, I guess, from what you said, Ben. There's new eyes on this Rumble. There is undoubtedly new eyes on this Rumble, or returning eyes. It's going to be a very watched Rumble. We've not had the tag belt since Mania. And bringing Motor City Machine Guns over, I feel like it was an attempt to be like, we are trying to breathe life back into this tag division. Now, putting a 2 out of 3 falls match with these two tag teams on a Rumble that is going to be watched by quite a lot of eyes, I'm not going to say it's going to be enough to put tag team wrestling back to the top where it should be, but I think this could be a very important night for tag team wrestling if they put on a 5-star match, like you allude to, Ben, and get a load of people saying the Rumbles were good, but how good was that tag match, by the way? You know what I mean? I think it is an opportunity to do that, especially with only 4 matches in total. They can potentially have 3 matches in 1 match. Do you know what I mean? But I will go with DIY retaining.
I think they could get a good 30 or so minutes here as well. I think this is going to get time, which is delightful. And that is when, like, for a Royal Rumble, I really, really like actually a 4-match card, because with 2 Rumbles, they're an hour each. You get burnt out. Having a 30-minute tag team classic and then, a 20 to 30-minute match between Cody and KO, and then plus they've got the adverts too. It's nice, it's fast-paced, and there'll be a bunch of great wrestling. But Sol, who will walk out with the tag belts?
I'm going with DIY. I think they're going to retain. I do think what you said is a lot of key points. Obviously, 2 out of 3 falls. I think it's important to actually give the tag division this sort of substance to chew on. I do think it's also a bit sad that these belts haven't been on a PLE since last year's WrestleMania, and so much has happened. So many more belts have been introduced. So it's now like, oh no, we got to go a year now without the other belt, the other set of tags, or the women's IC or the IC or the United States. But as I spoke to a Jordy before we begin, there might be a bit of a silver lining. A lot of shows are going 2 nights this year. SummerSlam's could be a 2-night. WrestleMania's 2-night. I could see the Rumble being a 2-night. I could see Survivor Series being a 2-night. So I think that will offset the worry of belts not being showcased, because I know that's been a topic we've discussed a lot. So with this new 2-night program, especially with the Big 4, I think that will, elevate or alleviate some of the worries fans have about champions being showcased. But nonetheless, this 2 out of 3 falls match is important because it will be such a good spotlight on 2 of these great tag teams. But DIY, I think, is going to walk away as still champions.
I agree, Sean, and I also agree on what you said. I do think long term the plan is going to be to turn all of the big four, plus maybe Money in the Bank 2 into 2-night events. Now, Permit can't. It's only WrestleMania and SummerSlam this next wrestling year, whatever. But next year, I very much could see that happen. I think SummerSlam is going to be a bit of a trial run. If that goes well, I think a lot more are going to be doing it too. JT with a huge shout. AJ Lee will return and set up CM Punk and AJ versus Becky and Seth at Mania. I predicted that months ago and people call me crazy, but I don't think it's going to happen now.
It could. I have no idea where they're going to go with Mania. There's so many different avenues, and it's a great place to be in for that reason. Fun. To be fair, yeah,
absolutely. I do think, and I've said it before, and we'll get onto it. Punk, McIntyre, and Rollins need to be involved in the same thing together, whatever it does end up being, in my opinion, because of the amount of overlap there is between them all. Number 1 says DIY will retain and face the Street Profits at WrestleMania. Rosario says DIY will be keeping them until Mania and then we'll drop it to the Yes Boys, my boys, Pretty Deadly. Yes, please. I'd absolutely love that. And yes, we do need a reformation of Pretty Deadly and Tiffany Stratton. Plus, we need to open the Forbidden Door as well so we can bring in Harley Cameron for Pretty Deadly the Musical. You're getting all my thoughts going now, Rosario. Let's go. Yes, boys, my boys, Pretty Deadly. Free the musical and make them tag team champions. Let's now, Street Profits is JT's prediction, but now let's move on to talk about today's sponsor. And today's sponsor is none other than Etsy. Now, if you guys don't know what Etsy is, let me explain it to you guys real quick. Because basically, it is an app you can download for free on the App Store. And your favorite creators will be streaming on there. We quite regularly will be streaming on there. We can do live Q&As, right? And it's like essentially a stream like this. But the one big difference is you can join it. And by join it, I don't just mean watch and comment. You can do that too. But if you'd like to, you can also jump on, put your camera on, and turn your mics on. Or just turn your mics on and keep your cameras off. You can do that. You can ask us questions. You can ask other wrestling content creators questions on there as well. We're going to be hopefully on there for a stream at least once a week. The app is free to download. And I know some people over on there tomorrow are going... In fact, I've actually got clarification. Clark is going to be on there tomorrow giving his predictions for the Royal Rumble along with Wrestle Takes and a few others, and he's going to be outside the stadium where the Royal Rumble is going to be. So make sure you guys download the Etsy app on the App Store or Google Play Store and head to the upcoming stream section to see when it is. Now, I know the plan for tomorrow is at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so at 6 p.m. UK, and that'll be 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'm having to do all maths now, guys. You know I'm not good at maths. But yeah, make sure you guys download it, and they'll say on the upcoming stream section when it is, because it's already scheduled for the Royal Rumble predictions with Clark and a few others as well. And Clark, again, will be in Indy giving his thoughts. What's better than that? But now let's move on to talk about the WWE Championship, because it will be on the line. In fact, it's already hanging above the ring. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens ladder match. Jordy, what's your call?
I'm very much looking forward to this one. I love a ladder match, I can't lie, especially when it makes sense. And I can't remember the last time one made sense as much as this, especially like with the both belts being up there. I don't want it to end with them both grabbing a belt each. That'll be irritating, because it'll kind of be like, well, now we're back in the same situation we were in before the match. So that'll feel like a bit pointless. I've seen online a lot of people think that Randy Orton could return and help Kevin beat Cody, but I'm thinking not yet. I do think Randy will return, but I think he'll take out Kevin and Cody will win. Listen, like, I know, like, Randy is there for heel turning, like, and I want to see heel Randy, but I can't make sense that Randy Orton wouldn't come back and go straight for Kevin Owens after he pile driving him. Like, it doesn't make sense. I need to see Randy come back and go for Kev. Whether he goes for Cody as well, I don't know, but I am predicting a Cody retain.
Do you know what I think, Jordy? I agree with you. I think Cody's retaining, but I do think Randy Orton's going to return and he's going to take out Cody. Not tomorrow night, but we're going to get into that a little bit later on. But I do think Randy is going to go straight for Cody, and the reason being is we know they've done this a million times, right, in WWE, where the face comes back after getting taken out by the heel, and they're like, actually, while I was on the shelf, I realized the heel was right. Is it a bit cringe? Is it a bit unrealistic? Yes, it is. But at the end of the day, Kevin Owens was attacking Randy Orton, for quite a bit of time. Actually, about 5 minutes before he hit the pile driver. And who came out as soon as the move was already hit? Cody Rhodes. Who could have come out earlier to help him? Cody Rhodes. Why didn't he? Was Kevin right? Was everything Kevin was trying to tell Randy right? Maybe it was in kayfabe, but I do agree with you, and I'm not predicting Randy Orton for this match. I think Cody's just going to win fair and square, cleanly. But, Soul, what's your call?
Yeah, I'm going with Cody as well. Cody is not losing the belt before WrestleMania at all in my mind. The more interesting thing, though, in my mind is, like, what else could happen in this match? Like, genuinely, I believe Cody's retaining 110%. But there's the part of that mind was like, oh, if I was doing it, I would and do some screwy things just for the lols and the funs. Like, I would have like Kevin Owens beat him and then Sami Zayn win the Rumble and then they could have the best friends main event WrestleMania. That'd be funny. Or if The Rock finally snapped out of it, was like, I've been drinking too much tequila and then cost Cody and let Kevin win or some stupid thing like that. Like, I generally that's like that. But at the end of the day, I think it's literally just going to be Cody's retains because he's not dropping before Mania 110%. I do wonder, though, will he go with the Winged Eagle design forward or the Undisputed Championship design, or will there be a matchups of the two? Because it could be an interesting, obviously, they get to make more belts and sell them for the replicas because people like to pay that kind of money for those sort of things. Or will it be something on Raw that, like what Christian Cage did when he won the Impact World title and had the TNA title as well alongside it, and do like a little give it to Triple H thing, and like it's valuable now, it's a priceless artifact, put it in the WWE vault. Triple H just nods and then he puts it back on the shelf to sell to the fans because it's clearly just a replica, not actual WWE belt from the past.
Well, they have confirmed that. They have confirmed the belt is going to be retired again after the match. But I say retired. It wasn't really.
It's been a nice way to bring it back, though, in all fairness. Just for a little bit. One thing that I will say is a possibility, because last time we started to see, and I don't care what people say, I watched it live with people, and Cody using that chair, it wasn't nothing. And I think we might start to see, and the way he was talking to Punk the other day, I know I said on the Daily, he was giving me Anakin Skywalker vibes. We're starting to see a darker side to Cody, and I think we might see more of it. And I don't know how that is. It might even be a beatdown after the match, like after he's got the belt in his hand and he just like runs over to him and just starts hitting him with the Winged Eagle belt or something like that. And people have to come down and separate him because he's made it very clear that it's like, this is personal now. And like, I will hit him on sight. As soon as I see him, I will start punching him. And I don't know if winning the belt is enough to stop that kind of aggression towards someone. Especially if you're holding the things that why you're annoyed at him. I would love to see that kind of aggression come out again somehow. Maybe if it's not that way, just something that's not the clean cut Cody, you know.
Here's the thing: if you're right about this, and he turns into Homelander Cody, as people are saying tomorrow, not a blatant heel, but an egotistical, basically what he looks like and what he used to be back in his early days in Ring of Honor and stuff. If that is the case, then I would love the match which everybody's pitching, which is John Cena versus Cody at Mania, because Cody wouldn't be the babyface. Here is the thing, though, and D6 Warlords is Soldier Boy Cena versus Homelander Cody. That would be brilliant. It absolutely would be. Here's the thing: I don't think he's turning. I really hope I'm wrong. I think he's selling them too much merch. I can't see it happening.
Oh,
yet.
yeah,
It annoys the hell out of me because it should be done.
I agree, and I think that is the thing. If they go the Homelander route, I think you don't need to heel turn him, because Homelander, that is the thing about Homelander. He's portrayed he's portrayed as a good guy, and I think he could do stuff that to a younger audience they're not going to see it as that, but to an older audience, we're going to be like, look what he's doing backstage. Like, this is Cody. Like, he's the bad guy here. But I said as well, like, I don't know if they are gonna do the Homelander. I think they could do the Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan with Cody and Punk. So you said it and you brought it in, but bringing Brandy in could be hilarious here. And if she's like, I don't know who you've become. Like, this is not the Cody that I fell in love with. You know what I mean? Everyone's expecting the Homelander, but the way he was staring through Punk, it was like, what's going on here? I've seen this before, and it was at Mustafar.
For the love of God, if they do that and introduce Brandon to it, I would love it if Brandy's like, please come back. Cody just starts tearing up. He's like, yeah, okay. Brandy then turns away and he just smiles and grins, puts her in the crossroad, and just boom.
No, let's not do that.
You're evil, Cody. Evil. Bring back the brunette hair. Bring it back.
I will say this though, right? It really will annoy. I don't think they would have dropped the ball more than if they don't have Punk, Rollins, and McIntyre involved together in some capacity at WrestleMania. Like, maybe it's a fatal four-way with Cody, like some people are saying. Maybe it's a fatal four-way with Roman, like I'm trying to say. But those three stories have been intertwined for 12 months. It is the greatest long-term story they've told in quite some time. And they need to have something at WrestleMania where they are linked up together. David Marge said, this is awesome. JT says it also depends on if The Rock will show up. I know he's on that graphic. Let me say something real quick. The graphic design team don't know anything ever about plans or anything like that. The only thing they ever find out ahead of time is certain members of the team might know about debuts to make merchandise, etc. But they don't know about who's going to show up in the Rumble and stuff like that. They only get told stuff for merchandise sake. So when they made that graphic, they would not have known if The Rock was going to be there or not. And I don't think...
No, just to wind people up.
It's a draw.
Yeah, 100%. It's a draw. It's a draw on a graphic, because everyone goes,
"Ooh, false advertising."
It's this
not, because he didn't say scheduled to appear. It was just showing wrestlers, and he was one of them.
False advertising.
It's misleading for sure, but it's not false advertising.
Yeah, it is misleading. I will say this: D6 Warlord. What if Tyler Breeze returns at the Rumble with a group perform with Pretty Deadly? I mean, Tyler Breeze, if it's going to help us get to Pretty Deadly the musical, I'll let it happen.
Oh, Elias. Bring back Elias with him.
Ezekiel, have Elias enter it twice. But now let's move on to talk about the men's Royal Rumble match, shall we? Because people are saying it is the most unpredictable match in years. But I am still going with my prediction, and I think, in fact, it's likely. A lot of people aren't saying this. In fact, the betting odds don't favour him at all, despite the fact that I think, personally, he's a clear favourite, and that is Randy Orton. I don't think he's going to help Kevin Owens win, right? I don't think that, because I do think he's going to still have issues with Kevin Owens. But I do think he's going to come back. I think he's going to be all okay with Cody for like a couple of weeks. Remember, it's the longest time between the Rumble and WrestleMania we've ever had in their history. It's the longest road to WrestleMania. So I do think at first they'll be okay, and then we're going to see Orton return as a heel in a few weeks' time, and it'll be a big shock, a big angle, and bang, we have heel Randy Orton back again. On the World title side, I've already said it. I think that's going to be defended in the chamber. I think McIntyre is going to win, and I think we're heading towards a fatal four-way with Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. So I'm going to chuck this one to you first. Who do you predict will win the men's Royal Rumble?
This Royal Rumble is very, very, like, it's hard to predict this, right? Because there's so many names. Like, even the final four, I think, in my mind, is hard to predict, because I could go with, Cena, Punk, Roman, and McIntyre, but then there's Seth in there, so I don't know about Seth. A returning Randy Orton, or, maybe they're going to go something crazy and pull out one on the new stars they've brought in, like Penta, or it's like, or Logan Paul, just for the lulls of it. But I don't know. It's tough. I mean, the thing is, though, I look at this belt here, And the guy the person I think made this belt special to me, I think he's going to win it. But then again, I thought of Jordy's prediction. I think CM Punk is going to win the Royal Rumble. I was so hard on Cena, but then Jordy said about Elimination Chamber and advertised for it, and I was like, well, you know, the Rumble would probably be more used for the WWE Championship rather than the World Heavyweight. You have the Chamber, do it the Chamber. I think CM Punk is going to win the Royal Rumble, and heck, do it if you want it in my good books again, Punk. Bring back this design as well, just for the true heat, just for the true heat. So yes. The Second City Saint, the voice of the voiceless, is going to win the Royal Rumble this year.
I hate to do a Jordy on you, Soul, but CM Punk also has a favor that he's allowed to cash in at any point. So if he was going to win the Royal Rumble, would they really be giving him a favor as well?
Well,
I would. Yeah, go on, Soul. Go on.
What if the favor is Heyman is by his side and Heyman eliminates the last man in the Royal Rumble is Roman Reigns? What if Roman Reigns on the edge of the ropes and him and Punk are brawling and you just see a shadowy man come up and just yank Reigns off and it's unveiled that it's Heyman?
I don't know.
There's a lot that could go on here, but I think you've changed, bro. You've changed from your pick, and I think it's fair enough. And to be fair, with that belt that you're holding, Punk also held that for quite a long time, so it's very fitting.
34 days.
Yeah, 434. So my prediction, and because of that favor, because of that exact favor that you brought up, Ben, that is why I am going with the OTC. The tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, throwing the ones up. He's the cover star of 2K this year. He is now Roman the face. You know how long they've been wanting this. Like, think when Roman last won the Rumble, he was booed, and he wasn't supposed to be booed, not like heel booed. Like, think how long WWE have been wanting us to want Roman. They've got it now. I don't know if they'll pass up on that opportunity, especially with that favor, because if Roman wins and he's headed for Cody, and then Punk comes in and says, Paul, you owed me a favor, get me in that match. So it's Roman versus Punk versus Cody as a triple threat at the main event of WrestleMania. That is a main event of WrestleMania. That's a huge match with like interweaving stories in both, whichever kind of pairing you look at. And then the added, like, Paul Heyman's going to be at the side of the ring. Who's he going to back? You know what I mean? So yeah, my prediction. And you know what, lads? I'm happy that because we've all predicted the same thing up to now. And I'm happy that we've got to the end and we've all got a different men's Rumble winner. But yeah, I'm going for Roman Reigns.
Do you know what, right,
Jordy? As
Jordy?
well. Yeah, it's just insane that this Royal Rumble, I think, could be one of the best ones up there in the caliber.
Oh, yeah.
And none of us have said Cena. That's the crazy thing as well.
Like, generally, I was thinking like, oh, it's Cena's last Rumble. They probably will. But then I was like, the Royal Rumble's mostly used for like the WWE Championship because it's such a hard contest to fight for and get to. Like,
I think Cena would hate it. I think from what I gather about his attitude towards coming back and not taking the spotlight, I feel like he wouldn't actually be happy if they said, oh yeah, you're going to come back, you're going to appear right at the start of the month on Netflix, and then you're not going to appear again and you're going to come back and win the Rumble. If he had a little 4-week run, maybe, but to me, I don't think he'll want, that's not kayfabe, but yeah, I also think he'll be in the chamber, so.
I do want to say this, right? Sorry, I just want to quickly go back to Jordy's prediction for a second. There's one fatal flaw with your prediction, right? You know how deliberate now WWE are with every small detail. If the plan was to do that triple threat match, then why was Drew McIntyre in the ring this week with Paul Heyman teasing a match with both Punk and Reigns as well?
Well, then why? Yeah, but then why did Paul specifically call out Seth Rollins when he was doing his little promo, and Seth specifically call out Roman Reigns while he was doing his little promo?
No.
Do you know what? Throw it out. Do a 6-person Armageddon Hell in a Cell match. Get them all in for the main event of
It's a
WrestleMania.
fatal 4-way for the world title. I am telling you guys, I have been saying this. The reason for the Punk and Cody promo this week wasn't a teaser match. It was for character development on Cody's part. That's going to be a big part of him heading into WrestleMania as this broken soul. And then his closest friend, Randy Orton, turns on him and he is breaking. The weight is breaking on him. And they're going to try and make it into some big baby face. I hope it's Homelander, but it's not going to be. It's just going to be some big baby face.
But what has CM Punk wanted since the reason he left WWE even in the first
place, the world title's going to main event night 1. It's going to main event night 1.
Yeah, but
Punk doesn't want that. Punk doesn't. He wants to walk out last on Sunday.
You know what? It might main event. It might main event night 2 because we can say this, or the WWE title won't main event. The world title, I know it's a new version now, has main evented over the WWE Championship several times in WrestleMania history. It is not unheard of, but I 100% think the way the storylines are going, Roman Reigns, Punk, McIntyre, Rollins, they are all going to overlap, and I don't think they're going to do a 5-way, so I don't think it's going to be with Cody. So I think somehow, some way, and I presume through McIntyre, they're going to get that championship belt off Gunther onto one of those 4 and then do that.
I think 2 triple threats. I think Cody, Punk, Roman, Seth, Drew. No.
Then what's the link then with Drew? Why is Drew teasing this? Why is Seth teasing this? Why are they going each other out? Gunther's not involved. Gunther's not involved. That
was the person. I don't know what they're doing with Gunther. John Cena's going to fight Logan Paul. I don't know what's going to happen.
Brock, they're either doing Lesnar versus Gunther non-title or Goldberg versus Gunther non-title. It's going to be one of those 2. That's what it's going to be.
Mania.
Gunther dropping at the Chamber.
Yeah, Gunther's gonna drop it to McIntyre at the Chamber because McIntyre is the only one who actually doesn't have a claim to anything in that feud. So if McIntyre wins the world title in the Chamber, Seth has wins over both Punk. No, he doesn't have a win over Punk. He has a win over McIntyre very recently, so he's gonna argue his way in there. Punk has the favor, and then of course Roman Reigns. You know what? Maybe Reigns will win the Rumble. I'm not going to predict that, but you might be right, Jordy.
Paul, what? How can Paul get him in that match? The favor's got to be something to do with Roman, surely.
Yeah, he's going to get him in a match with Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is the Rumble winner. I'm still going to predict Orton, but Jordy, I do think you might have gotten this right.
Oh, I'm lost.
I'm gonna stand by my word, but Jordy, if I actually had to give a name right now, I'd actually go Roman Reigns too. I think.
Well, we'll know in 24 hours, boys. We'll know in 24 hours.
Yeah, we will. I don't even know who I've picked anymore. I forgot what's happening.
You're going Roman Reigns, and I think you'll be right. But I'm going Randy Orton. Soul is going CM Punk. We'll have to wait and see. Shawn Ellis is tired of Roman Reigns being WWE champion. I don't think he'll win it. Don't worry. DCX Warlord thinks they'll be the final 4. That would be absolutely nuts. Shawn Ellis says,
yeah.
Solo Sikoa or Jacob Fatu wins. Jacob Fatu, I'd love. It's not happening.
Big up Dev's fan. He's actually said Cena wins. I'd love it. Again, I said this on a chat earlier on in the week. The biggest slice of humble pie I'll ever eat, and I'll be so happy about eating it if Cena wins, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he's destined for Logan Paul. I'm a bit worried he's destined for Kai Cenat or Speed at this point, but there we go.
Oh, God. No, do you know what? I do think he's destined for Logan Paul. I think he's going to be Cena. Everybody made fun of Mike Hard, and I think...
No, I mean, honestly, I've been saying this for the longest time because I think you bring Cena back, you make him win at WrestleMania against someone that's main roster, it ain't going to go well because people are going to be like, oh, old man coming back, taking wins, taking the limelight, not putting people over. Have him beat Logan Paul. That will be the most cheered John Cena will got. Unanimous cheer in years. I think even the people who don't like Cena will like Cena more than they like Logan Paul. So you're going to get that huge, big reaction, and it'll probably be his first win on television for however long on a singles match. It'll be a big deal because it's his last Mania, and he'll get a win against someone who people will be happy to see lose, even though he's still got years left of his career.
Yeah, I do completely agree, and people will be annoyed about it, but I think it'll do its job. Plus, they're close friends, which people forget.
I'm worried about the level of match. That's my thing.
That'll be my toilet break match. If Cena and Logan Paul are Mania, I'm going to the pisser during that one.
It'll open, I swear to God.
But guys, that does bring us to the end of the show. I mean, I'm so hyped. I'm even more hyped after this show. Thank you, Soul. Thank you, Jordy, for joining me. And thank you to everybody who has commented along. Shout out to all of you. We will be back. Same time, same place. This time tomorrow to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. There won't be an episode of Allison Analysis in the morning because I'm on the SmackDown review tomorrow night talking about SmackDown there. Plus, I need a morning off. I've been doing videos every morning for 14 days. And I'm going to be doing more for the next 14 days. So tomorrow, I'm taking a morning off. I'll see you guys tomorrow evening. See you guys. Ba, 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 ba. In the words of D6 Warlord, peace.